Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Every Damn Week podcast. My name is John Kirby, and I'm here to share ideas and things that will help you as a dad or honestly whoever you are. This all of this can be applied in many different ways, but my primary focus is as a dad who has struggled with many things in his life to balance his life physically, mentally, and spiritually. I would like to share some things that I've learned that will help dads to do the same thing, to do better with what they're doing. So, this week's episode, I actually want to focus on investing. And when I talk about investing, I'm not necessarily talking about investing in the stock market or investing in real estate. I'm actually talking about investing in yourself. And the focus here is around the term dues paid or rent paid. I see this used frequently on fitness sites. I see guys who are trying to help other men to get out there and to be motivated and to show up at the gym and put in the work. And then they'll put this little text up that says dues paid or rent paid. And this this term annoys me when it comes to personal growth, whether it's physical fitness or any other area of growth. And I want to focus on that today to kind of give some perspective on what I'm thinking about here. Why is rent paid a terrible term when it comes to making improvements for yourself? I want to start off by kind of talking about what has built my belief on this. And this goes to before I started doing Every Damn Day 5.5 years ago. And I would show up to the gym, you know, lackluster. I would show up and I had that attitude of I'm putting in my rent. I'm paying the dues. I got to show up. I'm going to go in there and I'm just going to get the job done and leave. Just say I got it done. I got it done. And this was how I was for years, for a good portion of my life. I did not make it a priority. I wasn't disciplined, and it wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't growing. I wasn't getting better physically. I wasn't improving mentally or anything else. And I remember a time when I had a friend of mine had suggested a book, and the book, it was a self-help type book. I don't remember which one it was, but I looked at the book and then I looked at how much it was going to cost to buy the book. And it was a lot more than at the time I was willing to spend on a book. So I told my friend, I said, well, I think I'm going to wait for it to go on sale and I'll pick it up then. And my friend said something to me about this that got my brain thinking a little more. He really made me feel bad for thinking in that way, and I had to pause and think about why was this not the right approach. I mean, okay, so the I'm looking for a discount on the book. Well, okay, what's my value? What am I worth? And would I discount myself? Would I discount my life, my self worth? No, I wouldn't. And so the investment in buying that book, even if it is at full price, is an investment that I may get back, maybe not dollars, but the worth of that could be 10 times, 100 times more than what I was going to do with that book. And I, when I finally got to a point where I was starting every damn day, going to the gym every single day, I applied this same process, and I hadn't before. And so this was a new concept for me in the physical fitness world. So the best example here is after about a month of showing up at the gym 5 days a week, scanning my gym card, as I've done, I joined a fitness competition for the gym that I was going to, that local gym. And my friend actually, this was a birthday present. He paid for the entry fee to get into the competition. And what came with that was 2 free personal training sessions. And I thought, okay, well, I'll use those. Certainly has some value to me there. And I had never really used a personal trainer. This was new to me. And so I went through 2 sessions, met a phenomenal trainer who I was able to connect with, who understood what it was I wanted to do, besides win the competition, of course, but what my personal goals were, which was to lose weight and to put on some muscle. That was my whole purpose. He understood that, and we had a great couple of sessions. And I thought about this, and I realized that, okay, if I really want to win this competition, which was going to be about 2 to 3 months, I really need to make an investment here. There's an investment of my time, but there's also going to have to be an investment of money in this particular case, because I have never been very successful at trying to build my muscle in a rapid way or lose weight in a rapid way, put in the work. I didn't understand what I needed to do to make that happen. So I had to invest in more sessions with this trainer. And by investing and putting in that money for every session and that time, and I showed up, and I may have adjusted my schedule accordingly, but I went once a week and I showed up. And by doing that, I won that local gym. That gym selected me as the winner for that gym. And that felt awesome. That was one of the best things that I had an early success within the first 6 months of every damn day for me. That was a huge boost. That made it very important. So let's dive into this entire concept of investing further. Again, rent paid, dues paid. I don't use that term. We're not going to use that term here. And I'm going to explain that a little further. So let's get into breaking this down a little bit. I'm going to cover investing in the 3 pillars, which is physical, mental, and spiritual. But let's talk about the point of investment. Again, we're not talking about just money here. We're talking about creating discipline and showing up every day without hesitation or doubt, making a conscious effort to put in the work and not just blow through it, not just go show up at the gym, do this really fast. Okay, it's done. Move on. That is rent paid. That is dues paid. You're just showing up and you're just, okay, I'm doing it to get it done. No, you have to put in meaningful effort into everything. That is true investment. Each mile you run, each set you do, each rep you do, putting in the time and effort is you're going to see growth from that investment. This is not paying rent. Now, to help build on this concept a little more, when you're paying rent to use something for a specific amount of time. You only get use of that item for that period of time for the amount of money you've paid. And let's say you're renting a house. So you get the house to live in the house for that month of rent that you've paid. You get no other benefit from it. You have a roof over your head, and all the maintenance for that is taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. That responsibility belongs to someone else to maintain and take care of that property. You have some responsibility to keep the house clean, all that stuff, but in my mind, that doesn't count. When something breaks in the house, you have deferred that off to somebody else. That's not a bad thing, but that's how that is. You don't have that responsibility. Now, when you buy a house, you own it. The money that you put in every month, you keep. That's yours. You still own that. But not only do you get to keep the house, you get to keep all of that work that you put in. If you upgrade the floor, you upgrade the kitchen, the bathroom, you do any additional money that goes in, you keep that too, because eventually the value of the home is going to increase. After years of this, ideally, the value of the home will have gone up significantly and maybe you sell that home and you put it towards another one, but you've got that investment. There's something, you have something to show for it. The same goes for anything for physical fitness, whether that's going to the gym or eating healthy. That work that you're going to put in, you're going to see the following. You're going to see strength, increased strength. You're going to see more energy. You're going to see longevity. You live longer. Confidence. You will build confidence by going to the gym and working out, especially if you do weight training. You get a stronger immunity from diseases. Believe it or not, muscle building is one of the things that people are discovering is a key component to reducing your risk for cancer. How many bodybuilders out there do you find get cancer? Not a whole lot. The more muscle you could put on your body, it slows the aging process. You're investing into that muscle growth for that longevity so that you are actually able to live a longer life and be around. So dads, we want to be around for our kids, not just until they graduate high school, graduate college. We want to be around to see their grandkids and go visit and spend time with them. We want to be a part of their lives as long as possible. For myself, I'm 52. My youngest is 6 years old. I need to live into my 80s, well into my 80s, hopefully to enjoy his children. So it is important for me to build muscle and to be able to have the strength to do that. You'll improve your physique. And one of the most important things, in my opinion, from investing in your physical self is your self-worth. You appreciate who you are more and how much you are worth. And you gain a self-respect for yourself. And I didn't see this when I first started Every Damn Day. And I was trying to understand. I mean, the initial point was to build a discipline, to build a pattern, to break a pattern of depression and suicidal thoughts that I was having. That was the whole point of Every Damn Day at first. But Every Damn Day grew for me. And as I put in the effort and the time and the work, I realized Every Damn Day was more. And it's about investing in myself. And physically, that's one of the first things. So what are some practical things we can do? So establish a consistent workout routine that fits your schedule. And it doesn't have to be anything elaborate, at least not at first. One of the things that I've learned, not just from my personal experience, but what I've seen in other people, is some people bite off more than they can chew right at first. Don't do more than what you're doing now. So if you're doing nothing, jumping in and trying to do an hour-long set at the gym is probably not a good idea. You probably should just show up for 15 minutes. Go show up, walk on the treadmill, just or ride a bike for 15 minutes. Do something small, build up, do it over time. You should incorporate a mix of strength training, and cardio, and flexibility exercises. This is something I do in all of my workouts. I actually warm up, stretch. If I don't stretch, I'm going to injure myself. And especially at my age, it's very critical. As you get older, you have to stretch those muscles. And otherwise, you're going to injure really bad and you're going to have surgeries. And it's just going to set you back. And you're going to get really depressed about it. And you're going to lose all that investment that you put in to that point. You want to incorporate strength training as well. You want to do weight training. And I know there are some people out there that say, you don't have to do it. Yes, you do. You have to do weight training. Weight training is the most important thing. You need muscle. Simon Sinek had a great concept that I thought about the other day about relationships and friendships. And I love this. I love what he said about it. He said, there's 3 things that you need to have. One is you need great heart health. You need to have great heart health. The second thing is lungs. You need your lungs to be in great shape. And what's the third thing you need? Thighs, thigh muscles. And he paused, and it's a great thought. He said, you need to be able to get up and be social. You need to be able to get up and go visit that friend or that family member or whoever that will help you to to interact and to socialize. Building your thigh muscles means you get to walk. And think about it, when you're in your 70s and 80s, you want to walk. You don't want to have to depend on a walker. If you switch to a walker, you're not going to improve, you're just going to get worse. You want strength in your muscles to take care of you, to support you and your structure of your body all the way until you're into your 70s and your 80s. I'd rather just, die of a heart attack or die in my sleep than die because I could never get out of bed. I'd rather be active all the way to my last day. That's how I think of it. The other part of this too, investing in yourself, it's not just going to the gym and putting in the extra time that you need to put in. It's also putting in healthy fuel, investing in proper fuel. So you have to do that as well. So I want to take a moment and I want to share what my typical day looks like. For me, Monday through Friday, I get up at about 4:55 a.m. This is actually a new routine for me. I've been doing it now for a few weeks and I've gotten into it and I love it. It's really great. So I get up at 4:55. I get up, I hit the bathroom. I brush my teeth because I'm just really, really OCD about that, about breath. And I get dressed for the gym, go downstairs, get my water bottle filled with my creatine and my electrolytes, and I head out the door and I show up about 5:30ish, maybe sometimes 5:40 if I'm running a little late. And then when I'm there at the gym, I put in an hour and a half. That 90-minute workout will consist of me for about 10 minutes doing my stretching and getting myself warmed up. And then I'll go for about another 70 minutes of just weight training. And then I'll switch to about 10 minutes of cardio. So I may do a walk, I might do a Stairmaster, I might do a bike. I don't do elliptical. I've never understood elliptical. That's just not me. When I look at it, I can never tell if I'm going backwards or forwards. It just, anyway, I get off track. That's Monday through Friday. Now on Saturdays, it depends. Like in the summers, I'm doing a lot of yard work during Saturdays, sometimes in the morning. And so what I will do is I will dial back my working out based on what I'm doing that Saturday. And so if I'm doing a lot of heavy yard work, I may go for a walk instead. But my walk will actually be a good 2-mile walk, almost 2-mile walk. But if I have a race that I'm preparing for, then I'm going to be training for it. And usually if I'm just doing cardio on Saturday. That's it. I'm just doing cardio. So I'll go for a 2-mile run. Right now, I'm not doing that. I have shin splints, so I'm kind of doing something else. And yesterday I walked. I really was feeling it after doing 5 90-minute workouts this week. I decided to take a lighter day, and that's fine. You listen to your body, you do what you got to do. But I'll put the investment in where I need to, and I invested in a walk so that I can invest the rest of my energy into putting in yard work yesterday. And that's what I did. And then Sundays, I always go for a walk. Same deal. It's an almost 2-mile walk, about a half an hour. Sometimes 40 minutes, give or take, and it's a fast walk. And I do that so I can get steps in, and I've done something on Sundays. As for food, I've changed this up a lot recently. So I really don't do meal prep a whole lot. I'll occasionally maybe cook some broccoli in a batch and have the broccoli available for a few days. Same thing with chicken, just kind of cook that ahead of time. But for the most part, most of the items I'm trying to eat are fresh. So I just try to keep those fresh items on hand. And I will do my own shopping. Instead of meal prep, I will go pick out my foods because I know what it is I'm eating. My dietary requirements are different than the rest of my family. I'm trying to manage and get rid of type 2 diabetes. And So I'm eating more closer to a low carb diet, closer to keto. And I'm doing that right now. And it's working really well for me from an energy perspective and from staying healthy. And I am losing weight and I'm also putting on muscle. It's great. So that investment, I'm putting in the time and the effort to make sure I have the right fuel. Um, so some additional thoughts. One of the things about Every Damn Day when it started was accountability. I had an accountability partner, somebody I texted every day and said, I did this for my workout. I showed up and I did this. I think that is an excellent thing to do. And honestly, you don't have to do it every day. That person eventually will get annoyed if you're constantly sending them texts after a long period of time. They're like, okay, I got it, you're doing it, you're fine, you got it established. So once you've really established the habit and the routine, back off, and now you need to be accountable to yourself. So what I do every day, I text myself my results. I take a picture of my watch and I send myself the watch image and what I did. And right now I'm tracking the number of days. So, I was at 312 on Friday. So 314 today is the number of days. And so I send that as keep track of the number of days. I'm accountable to myself. I've established it now that I can actually be accountable to myself. But if you're just getting started, find someone, anyone, your wife, one of your kids, um, you know, preferably an older child who understands. And that'd be great for you, Dad, to go out there and one of your older boys or girls to use them as an accountability partner, because it teaches them accountability too, the importance of that. Or find a good friend that you can be accountable to. Somebody you can say, hey, I did this. Just so, help me stay on track for a while. Do it for 3 months and establish the routine. And then I use a meal tracker, not always, not every day, but I use it if I want to gauge, okay, what did I eat today? Do I need to make these adjustments so I have my macros in the right place? Also, find a fitness coaching app. Also, if you're really serious about getting on track with your weight training and fitness, I recommend getting a fitness coach. Go in and hire one for just a period of time. It doesn't have to be all the time. Or if you feel like you need that, go get one for every single time you go to the gym. Nothing wrong with that either. Accountability helps to build. It's an investment. You're investing. You want to track and you want to have someone who can help you stay consistent and build the discipline that you need. So that's the physical aspect. Lot done there. And the reason I spend a lot of time on the physical is because the physical is the base. It helps the next two pillars. Without the physical, in my opinion, the mental and the spiritual collapse. You cannot make the progress you want mentally and spiritually unless you are taking care of your body. You own this. This is something you own. You have it for the rest of your life. You have to put the investment in here, now. Not later, because it may be too late. If you figure you can keep eating the way you are, it's going to come back and haunt you. It did this to my dad. My dad ate horribly. He ate. I would go visit him and he had stacks of boxes of Twinkies and Ding Dongs on his counter. 75-year-old man, and this is how he was eating. And he could not walk. He was so heavy, he could not walk. That was the life he chose, and it shortened his life. He could have lived much longer had he taken better care of himself. So let's shift gears into the mental health space. And for the mental health, I want to talk about in the investments that I started making. We'll just kind of start there, because the mental really wasn't a huge focus. The physical helped the mental for me for about the first 6 months. But then as I was going to the gym more and more, I found that I needed more than just the physical. I needed to do something that would help me to grow even further in other ways. And mentally, I wanted to be smarter. I wanted to be stronger mentally. And it just seemed like mental was the next logical step. In fact, there was a point that really was the trigger to really shift my thinking on this. I had a friend who was going through a major surgery at the time. And as he was preparing to go through this surgery, I was really trying to be supportive to him. I really was, and I meant well. But unfortunately, my mental state was still weak, and it was I was still working through some issues, and I was trying to support my friend. But the problem is, I was doing it wrong. I was just flat out doing it wrong, and I was focusing more on negative, and I was bringing him down instead of bringing him up. I was more focused on the negative than the positive, and to be quite honest, I was still in a state of codependency. This was 9 months after I was suicidal. I was still leaning on others at this time because I needed it, and probably more so than I should have at that time. It was a crutch that I just could not get rid of. So what ended up happening is my friend pushed me away. He didn't want to deal with it anymore. He was done. He just like, I got to focus on me, but he didn't say it. He eventually just said, "Look, I just need time to myself." But he didn't want to hurt my feelings. But he just he just wanted me to go away. Just go away. I'll be fine. And so, but I recognize this. I'm pretty smart. I do see and recognize patterns, and I recognized exactly what was happening. And while it wasn't personal, it kind of was, because I was kind of being the jerk. I was the one who was really making his life miserable, and he needed to do what he did. And I recognized it, and this hit hard. Um, as I usually would do at the time, I beat myself up for several days, and it was my typical MO at the time. I realized, however, that I needed to work on myself some more. There was more work to do, and getting punched in the stomach, metaphorically, uh, is probably the best thing that motivated me in this aspect of my life, to improve, to focus on my mental state. So what I did while he was going through his surgery, I went out and found a program that would help me do this, and I joined it. And it was $1,000 purchase, which was beyond something I had ever done before at the time. I started to do things like journaling. So I learned more about how to journal effectively in this program. And then I also was given books and suggestions, and then there was trainings that came with it, and all of this as a result. I met other people in the program who also were trying to improve, and I became accountable to them. This transformed my mental state and set me on a path to really grow and improve in such an amazing manner, and transform my mental state. I was less codependent, and I was more positive about things as a result. So some of the things that came out of this was mindfulness. I was more mindful about things. I was less self-centered and focusing on others. I was journaling more. And I was taking the journaling, and I was using it to process my emotions and my thoughts, and all of the things that I felt together. I'd ask questions, and I would dig deeper into that in my journaling, and the exercise of actually writing physically was a great way, because it makes you pause and slow down. And as you're doing that, you're really thinking about it, and then you're going through, and you're thinking. It slows your thinking process. Um, I read books. I was physically reading them, and I really switched to audiobooks a lot, and I was doing a lot of that. So one of the things that came out of that too was, I developed a hobby, YouTube and video editing, and this every damn day. And I kind of want to share with you something really interesting that I also, again, from Simon Sinek. I love Simon Sinek. He's got great theories, concepts, and he's just a wonderful thinker. And he talks about how, um, to help yourself grow. One of the things, like in Alcoholics Anonymous, it's a 12-step program. What is step 12? Step 12 is being of service to help someone else going through the same thing you're going through. And so I turned every damn day into helping other people at the time to go through how to manage their depression and anxiety. And that was the main focus of every damn day at that point. And by me doing that, that helped me because it forced me to go learn, to go study, to become an authority on these things, to speak with authority, to understand it and to practice it. And I do that still to this day. All these things I talk to you about, these are things I have studied and I've gone out and learned, and I practice them as much as I can every single day. Speaking of that, each day, what I try to do is I still try to write in my journal, and I ask myself thought-provoking questions. And then when I'm at the gym, I'm always listening to a podcast or to a book. And if I find something I really like out of that, I'll come back and I'll listen to it again, and I'll write in my journal what it is, or make a note for a podcast or for an episode of something that I want to do. So these are things I've done mentally. Now, there's one more thing I do want to point out as a great mental tool, a great investment, because you buy yourself a nice journal. I use my iPad now, and I use an Apple Pencil, and I write with that. And I am a technology goof, so I love it. So I invested in that. That was an investment. I invest in books. I'm always buying books. I don't always keep up with the number I buy, but I try to read them as often as I can. But there's another investment that I do that has really helped: counseling. Now, when I was going through every damn day and I was going every week for a while. But now I still go. I go about every 3 months, and never think of counseling as an embarrassment. Counseling is so powerful. It gives you another route to go to get another opinion to help you process, to help you work through the issues that you have going on mentally. And I go about every 3 months, like I said, and I think of it as like taking my truck in for an oil change. It's maintenance. We all have things that we struggle with from time to time that we're like, hey, I ran into this a few months ago. I want to talk to you about this, and I'll take it to my counselor and I'll bring it up. It's great to have someone to bounce these things off of. And it's an investment. I pay for those, and that's money I put in back into myself because I'm learning something from that experience. Spiritual health. Let's talk about that. There's a lot of different ways you can go in the spiritual world as far as making investments for yourself. There are things that you can do, along the lines of prayer, meditation, just going on a nature walk, community service. None of this has to be religious based. I happen to be religious. Now, I grew up not associated with a religion. But for more than half my life now, I have been part of a faith that gives me more perspective about my life and life in general and life beyond this one. And I have found for myself that this is where I gain the strengths of compassion and empathy. I mentioned before that I am a very empathetic person. I have very deep feelings, and it can be a blessing and a curse. It really can. It's a curse if you can't control the emotions that come with that. But and that's how it was for me. It was a curse. And now it's a blessing because I I do believe this is a gift from God, and that helps give me a perspective with it too. So it's taken me years to understand how to control these emotions. So if somebody's like my friend who was going through his surgery, the emotions I was feeling, I felt really bad for him, but he didn't want to hear about it. He didn't want to hear me talk about it. That's my feelings, not his. So I have since learned my feelings are mine, and I'm entitled to my feelings, but I now need to focus on how I manage those. And my spiritual focus has provided me with the means to manage that better. Um, the other thing that it has done is it's given me an enlightened approach towards being a service to other people, to serve my spouse, my children, my friends, people I don't know. Uh, I think of others before I think of myself. I think less of myself now than I used to. This is a huge shift for me because I'd rather give of myself to others. And sometimes it's at a fault before I give to myself. And I find myself shorting myself, and I have to circle back and go, okay, focus on me. I got to give again, it's that balancing. It's what I'm preaching to you guys. You have to balance it. You got to balance all of these things to take care of yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to be available for anybody else. I link spiritual with the emotional, and having compassion and empathy are a result of spiritual awakening. Now, I'm not saying again that you have to be part of a religion to have this happen, but it certainly does help. One of the things that you can do daily is incorporate moments of reflection and gratitude. Engage in activities that bring joy and fulfillment. I find for me that daily prayers, attending church services weekly, and consuming spiritual-based content lift me up, as well as serving others. And all of these things, they fuel my gratitude. And gratitude is an important component in our lives for which we can build that rich and rewarding life that we want. Gratitude is the cure for being in a victim state. And boy, did I live in a victim state for almost 50 years. I felt the world was out to get me. Every time something went wrong, I blamed the world instead of looking at myself. So gratitude helped me shift that focus. I will incorporate the mental and the spiritual most often when I'm journaling, because I like to sometimes just show up in my journal and I just only write down, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for each child's name. I'll list them. I'm grateful for my best friend. I'm grateful for my job that provides for me. I'm grateful to have gone through the 5.5 years of every damn day that I have, that it has turned me into the man that I am, to be available for my wife, my kids, my friends, to prioritize myself and to be there for those people. And I love journaling about those things because it reminds me of who I am and what I've worked and invested towards into myself. Go back and read my journal entries and I can see that investment that I have put in. It's a great accountability to the things that I have done. So I encourage you to find your own spiritual practices so that you can find ways to grow spiritually, to build that gratitude that you need to do. So just to kind of wrap things up, again, invest. I don't want to hear anybody say to me, oh, I paid rent, dues paid. Stop. Invest. Stop paying rent. You need to invest physically. And that includes going to the gym, includes eating healthy. You need to invest mentally. You need to find ways to grow, to learn, to be accountable, to find people like you. Remember, you're the average of the 5 people you spend time with. And then spiritual health. Focus on the spiritual as well. Become grateful. Shed that victim status if that's something that you deal with. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Take a moment and share your thoughts about the things that I've shared here today down below. Tell me what you think. I love to hear from you guys, and I hope that you found this episode of help. Again, all of these are to help you to find ways to improve upon yourself. And I really hope that this was enlightening to you. And if it is, tell me that too. I'd like to hear it. And then we'll do another one of these next week. Again, it's every damn week. So thank you for making it this far in the podcast. And I hope to see you next time.